Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to talk about the way in order to gather the information before beginning to attack or before beginning to pen test any applications or any client. So first of all, what is information gathering? So information gathering is a technique that will help you to explore about the clients. So we'll get the MAC addresses, we'll get the IP addresses, we'll get the ports that is opened in the client side, we'll get the information of the operating system, we'll get the all the information that is about the open port and basically the attacks that can be valid on the client. Because if you even know the operating system that the client is using, you can just get rid of all of these payload that is not available on that operating system. Because if you just see that if I made the attacks on the computer that is not discovered yet, that means I have to make the whole lot of payload. I have to make for the Mac, I have to make for the Linux, and I have to make for the Windows, and I have to try one by one. But if I know directly that the OS is Windows, I can just get rid of all of these payload that is not required in the case of Windows. So that can be important information. And second information is about the IP addresses. So if you are in the same network, you can get easily the IP addresses that is connected to the network, so you can just get the information directly. You can work with the man in the middle attack, you can just DNS spoof, you can just inject some of the keylogger, you can just make a B framework that is to exploit the browser on the client, that is to gain access of Firefox on the client side or any browser on the client side from the DNS or ARP spoofing. So these are the techniques, and this is very important topic because information gathering is not about only the IP addresses and MAC addresses. It will also give the information about the ports that is opened. So in this lecture we are not going to code or do anything. The coding section will be in the later part of this course, where we'll just learn how to make this Nmap scanner, port scanner with the help of Python programming language. And that will be very interesting lecture because we are going to make whole Nmap scanner with the help of Python. But in this lecture we are going to learn about this tool that is given with the Kali Linux. So there are a couple of tools. You can also see the Net Discover, you can see the Auto Scan. Auto Scan is a third-party library. It doesn't come pre-installed with the Kali Linux. You have to download first Auto Scan and you have to use it. And the third one is Nmap, which is very popular. So let's see this of this tool, and this will be all about this lecture. So before that, just make sure you know about the information gathering and what we can get from the client is very important before hacking to the client, because we have to gain information about not only the user, we have to get information about the machine that user is using. So that will be very important in the first step you should take while hacking any computer. So first of all, what you need to do is, I'll just go to the terminal, and we are going to use the first and very easy method to discover the IP addresses and the MAC addresses that is connected to this network. So that is the critical information that you can gather by the Net Discover. So if you just see, if I only get the information about the clients that are connected to my network, I can inject the keylogger, I can do multiple tasks using the man in the middle framework and plugin that is given by the man in the middle. So it is also important to know about the clients that is connected on the same network. So that is done by this Net Discover. So it is the way to use it. If you want the help, you'll just type help over here and you will get all the information about this Net Discover. You can see we can just put this I to just show that which network interface it is, and after that you can see over here, and basically we have here that is R for the range, and this is to scan on the entire network. So if I want to scan on this particular network, I have to get the IP config and basically will just give the range, so that entire range will be covered and any client that is connected to the particular network will be discovered by this Net Discover. So let's see, now we have seen the help and the two parameter, and the important parameter over here is I and another is R. So I is for your network interface, R is for your range. So let's use this. Okay, what I'm doing, it is net discover, and after that I'll just put I to specify the interface. In my case it is WLAN0. You can also check over here. If I just create the new window, if config, and you can see we have this interface WLAN0. You can also use this Ethio0 interface, which is the connectivity that is given by the actual network on your computer. So after that you can see that we have this net discover. So next thing is for the range. So I want to discover that is the client connected to this network. That means I have to first give this a subnet, which is 192.168.1.1, and after that if you want to cover that is from this port to maybe 254 more subnet, you have to give this range, which is /24. So this will cover everything that is connected to your network. So if I just hit enter, it is going to give us IP information, it is going to give us the MAC address and the length and the MAC vendor, or basically this is the MAC address vendor. So this is the company which is showing that this product is of Racecom and something like that. So we can clearly see over here we have just discovered some of the networks, which is giving us the IP addresses, MAC addresses, and this is very useful information. If you just gather this, even the IP addresses, it is going to be one of the information and a critical information for your man in the middle attack. So after you just gap that IP addresses, you will inject some code, or you can also inject some payload directly to that IP address, and you will execute that payload and make the complete access to the client computer through the reverse shell. You can also put some update information or fake update information to the client by the man in the middle attack, and you can also get the access to the client from that reverse shell. So we'll just cover this reverse shell, or basically the way to connect to the client, in the upcoming lecture. But for now you can see that we have gathered some information about the IP addresses and the MAC addresses. We'll see how to use them in the next lecture, but for now you can see that this is the one tool, which is net discover, and we are going to code this whole net discover, or basically nmap, whole nmap scanner, port scanner application through our Python code, and we'll just do that from scratch. So we'll see how this work and how we can make use of the Python modules and packages to make this complete application that is available in the Kali Linux. So you could wonder that if there is already application, why we are making it. So here the important part is, if you make by yourself, then it has more chances that it is not detected by the antiviruses. So it doesn't count in the case of the scanner, but it counts in the case of the payload. So if you make your own payload, if you make your own viruses, if you make your own backdoor, if you make your own maybe the malware, then it has less chance to be detected by the antiviruses. Instead of making the payload from this Kali tool, maybe using the some frameworks like the Whale framework or Eagle framework and something like that. So instead of using that, you can just make use of your own Python code, your own AutoEat code, your own scripting code, so that you can bypass as much as antiviruses you can and make your code and payload much more effective. So you can clearly see that we have this application which is showing us the IP addresses and the MAC addresses. So the next and important application that we are going to do here is the nmap. So it is very powerful application, and it has so much range to scan. And basically what happens is, we have the varieties of scanning process that is inside the nmap, and we are going to code that each of the features of the nmap with our Python code in the later section, and I have already said you that. So let's search for nmap, and you can see there is a genmap. So first of all, let's search for this genmap. So this is the application that is going to scan us every information of the client that is connected to the computer, same as NetDiscover, but this genmap is much more advanced than NetDiscover. So you can clearly see the GUI interface. So what you need to do is simply pass here the target. So I want to discover again, that is the same client that is connected to my network, and in order to check for every client, you just give this /24 to cover every subnets of this network. And after that, you can see the command right here. So it has created this command automatically. If you just put the target over here, and here is a profile. So it has so much of profile. You can clearly see over here. You have a ping scan, which is similar to that of net discover. It only gives the information about the MAC addresses, and the vendor, it would give information about the IP. And here is intense scan, which is much more powerful. You can also see this quick scan, which is also powerful scan. So first of all, let's see for this ping scan. You can see this scan button right next to it. So let me press here, and you can clearly see that we just got our result within a second, and it is because ping scan doesn't take any much time, and it is faster than net discover. You can see we have the 3 clients that is connected. One is our network interface, or basically our router, and after that you can see here information. One is desktop and everything over here. And the next scan is, I want to check, is a quick scan, and let me just scan it. And it will take obviously the more time than the ping scan, because it is going to discover more information than that of ping scan. And this is very powerful scan. So here you can clearly see we got whole lot of information. So it is giving what vendor it is, MAC addresses in more detail, and it is giving us this port that is opened in this machine. That means we can now search for the vulnerabilities on these services online, and we can just make, that is the connection with an expose type application, or you can also use the metasploit to just crack that vulnerabilities and get passed to this network. So you can clearly see we just gather so much information from here. You can see in here that is the open ports that is available on this machine. So this is a quick scan. So let's go for the intense scan, and let's see what this will discover. And it is going for now nmap scan first, and it has been discovering open port, and you will see it has shown for every host that it has tried. So for the host that is not available, it is showing host down, and the host that is available, it is showing host up. So after that, you can clearly see we are scanning the 3 hosts. It is still trying, so it is initializing the OS detection. That means it will search which OS these clients are using, and you can clearly see this information are very critical. It can be or basically it has discovered some open port on our gateway, and you can see here some information. It is still running, so it is still scanning for the 2 hosts, and basically it is trying to gather some information about the operating system. So let's wait for some moment. So it is taking more time than we expected, but it is going deep in order to get every information that it can uncover from the clients that is connected to our network. So you could wonder that why this information are so useful. So these clients are basically the computer that is connected to your network. So first thing, what you can do with the IP is you can just be man in the middle. That means you can work as a router for the client, and you just say that I'm a router to that client, or to your window machine, or to the machine that you want to hack. So that means every packet that is sent from the client is passed through you or through Kali machine, and every responses that the router give to the client is also from us. That means we can just get every information that is passed to the client. So if the client sends some information related to Facebook account, if they pass the credentials of the Facebook, that is passed through us. So you can get the HTML information, you can just parse that information, you can take information from the get and a post method, and it can be also done by the Wireshark, and we'll learn about the Wireshark and why it is so useful for the hacker in the next upcoming lecture. But you can see now it is still just doing the processes, and now we have got finally the information, and this is very very important information. You can write, or you can see right here, it is giving enough information that what version or what engine it is working on the web server. So it has cracked every information that it can done, and you can clearly see some of these desktop information can be critical information to get more about the ports and the vulnerabilities that is on the client, and we'll see how to just crack that in the upcoming lecture. So this will be wrap for this lecture. So before wrapping, this is the Nmap or a Genmap, and this is the whole lot of application. This is very broad application, and we are going to code this. We are going to code the ping scan, we are going to scan for the intense scan and for the quick scan, and this will be covered while we just make the Python code, and this will be very interesting lecture there. So this will be wrap for now, and I think you have got the information about the information gathering. Which information will be important is based on the client. So if you want to hack through social engineering toolkit, then this information won't be too critical. But if you want to hack, or if you want to get the vulnerabilities on the machine directly, then this information is must. So this will be wrap for this lecture. See you in the next one.